So I've seen a lot of pledges going around YouTube of 10 things I'm not going to buy in 2021, spending habits that are going to stay in 2020, we're never going to see them again, and that's it. And I thought I'd bring you something different with a couple of things that I am definitely going to be putting money towards in 2021. So the first thing is actually fiction books. So for me, 2020 was definitely the year of figuring out who I was, who I wanted to be, and that led to me purchasing quite a few self-help, self-development, non-fiction style books, which I talked about struggling to read in my teaching myself how to read video, if you want to check that out. But I've also realized that while there is definitely a need for those kind of books, reading has to stay fun for me. It has to be something that I still want to do at the end of the day. And one thing I do love reading is a good murder mystery thriller. I haven't bought one in ages, and it's my favorite kind of fiction, and I am definitely going to be putting more money towards buying those kind of fiction books in 2021 because I want to keep that up as a good habit. It's a really nice bit of escapism, and it's also a great way to just not be on your phone during this time. The second thing is stocks. I mentioned this briefly in my investing for beginners video, but I want to basically take the plunge into stock investments this year. I previously hadn't really done it because I didn't really have time to research stock investments, because stock investments need a lot of time investment into financial analysis on the stocks, properly researching what you're investing, as well as, your actual money. But my current investment portfolio is really low risk and it's really quite simple, and I want to end the year with a more diversified portfolio. So for me, that means investing in riskier style stocks. The third thing I'm going to be spending money on in 2021 is secondhand items. And this ranges from furniture for my home, right up to clothing, right up to anything that is okay to get secondhand or pre-owned. A big one for me is definitely furniture, because towards the end of last year, I was definitely leaning towards buying newer things, mainly because they were cheap and therefore not the best quality, and also kind of just did the job. And as much as this isn't a, like a forever home where I'm going to be buying like vintage forever pieces that are really super high quality, I'm going to be focusing on meeting any needs of the flat with secondhand purchases. I absolutely love using Facebook Marketplace for local purchases. Of course, it's been a little bit harder with COVID, but at the same time, nothing really needs to be bought right now. Facebook Marketplace is one of my favorites. Gumtree is also great, and also Freecycle. It's kind of similar to, Facebook Marketplace and Gumtree, except for the fact that the items are actually usually free. The actual platform that Freecycle is on is also not the most functional, not the most easy thing to use. You can't really filter for items. You have to kind of sift through a lot of listings. But if you're looking for something particular, which kind of goes hand in hand with conscious consumerism and secondhand purchases, Freecycle is awesome. I also, for decorative things in the flat, can't really bring myself to buy things from the high street shops anymore, because it just feels a little bit too impersonal, and I'm just kind of like buying something just put on a mantelpiece or put on a shelf or something like that. Buying secondhand sometimes also means buying pieces with stories, buying pieces from certain eras, and repurposing things that would literally otherwise just go to waste. And not to mention, buying secondhand actually is probably the most cost-effective way to furnish a flat. The fourth thing that I want to put more money towards in 2021 is things from small businesses and local businesses. And the reason for this is kind of twofold. Firstly, and more obviously, the items you're buying will be supporting the local businesses and the local economy, which is a huge moral motivation for me. And then the second thing is actually the fact that items from small businesses or local businesses are usually higher in price, and the price always reflects the item's quality and the actual life cycle of the product, and being able to run that business for the owner. And that price usually means that I have to be really conscious when I'm buying it. So if I'm buying from a small business, it's usually on my wish list. It's something that I'm putting money aside monthly for if it's a slightly larger purchase, or it's something I'm thinking about buying for a while before I buy it. I'm never really impulse buying things from small businesses and local businesses, and that will result in that purchase meaning a lot more, being a lot more valuable in your life, and also never really being an unbudgeted expense. The fifth one is something that I've kind of come to terms with and I'm happy to spend more money on in 2021, and it is treats that are essential to my happiness. And this doesn't necessarily mean guilty purchases, so like actually buying from fast fashion because you kind of slipped off a bandwagon or something like that. Let me tell you why with my story. So I love food. If you guys know me, you know that I love food, but not just in the sense of emotional eating. I actually really enjoy different types of foods. I really love the culture around different types of foods, and it does genuinely bring me so much joy. And I spent a long period before, while I was controlling my spending, trying to really cap that in the weekly food shop, any trips to coffee shops, and any other kind of local things like that. And it definitely had an effect on my motivation through the week, my happiness through the week. And so this year I really want to filter in some of those treats at least once a week into my weekly food shop. And whether that is, you know, buying the raw ingredients for something I really want to make through the week, or allowing myself a couple of weekend trips to coffee shops and local patisseries or even pizzerias. But basically this just means accepting myself for who I am as someone who enjoys food and who doesn't have to cut back spending on food, because that is something that's essential to my overall happiness. And the sixth and final one is comfortable clothes, and I think this is just me again accepting myself for who I am, and that is a real life slug. So this one has truly influenced by the remote working conditions we're all in, working from home. Sometimes I just do not want to put something on that has tight sleeves, that has a tight waistband, that has to be buttoned up, that has an open neck. And especially with jackets, you know, they have to keep me warm, they have to have functional pockets, they have to have room for me to layer under. And I'm not saying my wardrobe is soon going to be 100% loungewear. I do want to be spending money on clothes that are trendy, second to being comfortable and functional. So these 6 things, maybe bar the stocks, are all a result of me realizing what does and doesn't work out of, you know, really changing and tuning into my habits over the last year. I mention this all the time, especially in my personal finance videos, where if you know your habits and you know what you do and don't like doing, and you know what makes you happy and what doesn't make you happy, it's so much easier to tune into the ones that are good and tune out the ones that are bad because of your increased awareness around them. Let me know what things you're going to be spending more money on this year, if you know that, or what things you're not going to be spending any more money on this year, because we all love to see the back of bad spending habits. So I hope you enjoyed this one, guys, and I'll see you next week.